When it comes down to Raiden, there are usually a lot of opinions. Some people consider her to be useless before C2. Some people think that you need Sara to make her work. Some people consider her to be a pretty bad hyper carry. And in this video, I want to talk a little bit about what I think of her and why I think none of this is really true. Now, I may sound like a hypocrite because, well, I myself have C3 Raiden and C6 Sara. However, it's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that these constellations are very much overrated, and you don't need to go for them. If you want, sure, but I don't want people to feel they need to go for them because they feel like their character is bad without them. So let's talk a little bit about why these constellations are not needed. While Sara does provide a pretty big buff, especially if you have a high attack weapon, her buff doesn't even last that long because it has only 6-second duration, which a little bit extended by the ult, but not by that much. So you don't even get the full buff for the whole Raiden ult. However, on top of that, well, Sara herself does do some damage, but it's not insane amount of damage. So a lot of the times, what you can do instead of putting Sara is to put another character that deals damage. Now, if you just want to replace Sara in this specific team, in Raiden, Sara, Bennett, Kazuha, there are two characters who I think are very good as her replacement. One of them is Yelan, and second character is Fischl. I personally like Fischl more, however Yelan is also very good. The thing about Yelan is that she needs a lot of energy recharge, and Raiden's energy generation on field helps her a lot, so you can go lower energy recharge on Yelan and actually get some decent damage. And Fischl, because you're giving her, because you're using so many buffs, Fischl is also an electric character who deals damage, and she can snapshot them. So all the buffs that you give to Raiden will also go to Fischl, and Fischl damage is very good. Now, these are teams where you just completely replace Sara. However, there are some fairly new teams for Raiden that will change more than just swapping one character, and those teams include Farina. Farina is just a very good character. Raiden's energy generation also helps her because her energy need is quite high. But with Farina, you also usually will want to play Jean, so the teams that you could potentially play is something like Raiden, Jean, Farina, Bennett, giving you Sunfire. For that team, I think you want to go Elemental Mastery on Jean. Yeah, you will heal a little less, but then you get more reactions. You kind of can balance things out there. Or there is another team that doesn't use Bennett whatsoever. You can use Raiden, Farina, Yelan, Jean, and yeah, in that team, Raiden will deal far less damage than in her other teams, but it's still a very good team to use. And these are far from the only teams you can play Raiden in. There is also Rational, which is Raiden, Shangling, Cynthia, Bennett. I personally don't like that team that much. I would prefer to play Sucrose National, but hey, that team is very easy to play, and that's something that some people like. And when it comes down to Hyper Bloom, I think this is one of the Raiden's best teams. You know, when you go full Elemental Master with like Dragon's Bane, with Gilded Dreams, I think she's a lot better than Cookie. I personally prefer her to Cookie any single day. I just think Cookie, the way Cookie explodes seeds is worse. Like, it just doesn't feel that good because you need to be close to the seeds for them to hyperbloom them, while Raiden just does it automatically, and she also does it faster than Cookie. So there's just a lot of reasons to play her in the Hyper Bloom, and it's not a meme team, it's a very good team. Now, I want to compare this specific team to the same team, but instead of Sara, you use Fischl, and I just want to give you a perspective on how good the Fischl team is. For this team specifically, for the Sara one, I will be using Engulfing Lightning, I will be using a very good set, and obviously I will have my C3 for the Raiden. However, for the official team, I will be downgrading my Raiden by a lot. I will be using level 1 Pavonius Lance, and I will be using no circlet. In the end, my ratio will look something like this, and I tested this. It brings my Raiden to about the level that you would expect from a poorly built free-to-play Raiden. My Raiden deals like 120k on initial slash, which is lower than what like good investment Raiden would do with the catch. So yeah, this Raiden is basically low free-to-play level. Now I will show how two of these teams perform in the current abyss, and I will say my thoughts about them after it. So let's get into it. Now, were the Raiden Sara clears faster? Yeah, they were. However, were they that much faster? Not really. And were the Fischl clears bad? Also not really. Each of them was under minute 30, which is more than enough time for second sight, even for the unfavorable boss like the Tolpa. When I say that Raiden C2 and Sara C6 are overrated, overrated is not the same as bad. No, these constellations are objectively pretty good. However, I don't want people to think that these constellations are really needed to make this character work. As you saw in the Fisher clear, the time was more than enough. And on top of that, that Raiden was very poorly built. Like, if you just build your Raiden well, your Raiden will deal more damage than Raiden that you saw in that clear. And again, that's gonna make the clears faster. My point is that just don't pull for Raiden C2 or Sara C6 if you don't feel like it. These constellations, if you want them and if you want to see big numbers, sure, but they are far, far from being needed. And then again, with the Fontaine, with Farina and Yalan, we have a lot of other options that I don't even showcase because, again, stop, it's kinda bad to show Yalan or Farina. But again, you can play them and the team will perform very well. Now to the conclusion, Raiden is a completely functional character at C0 and you really don't need these constellations to make her work. Neither you need Sara constellations. I hope this video helps some people decide whether they really want that or maybe perhaps they want to save for some other character they like. I hope you enjoyed it and see you some other time.